Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the changes to Estrelda and Leica in the new update. And they look decent on paper when you browse over them, but it turns out they're not so great, so let's get into it. Okay, so I figured side by side would be the best way to go through this. As you can see on the far right hand side of the screen, the far that way is going to be the global server where it hasn't changed yet, and then the one right next to me is going to be the red logo, which is the test server, which is going to be the changed version. Now the aesthetics, the changes that they made to her, Sophia, Leica, they cleaned up all the character models, and I reckon they do look really clean, which is nice. They just look so much crisper. But the changes to the heroes now. The Estrelda one looked like decent at first glance because it sort of just changed everything to be AoE, which sounded really nice. However, the big downfall is that this ability here, which is this one here, where it used to knock one enemy back, Estrelda swipes an enemy with her lance, knocking them backwards. Now it becomes an AoE, but the problem with it is it knocks them over, not backwards. So the thing with Estrelda is that a lot of people, like late to end game, had found a really good synergy and they were enjoying using her with Gwyneth, and they were basically using her for that and then the rest of the buffs she brings. But because she loses that ability to do the knockback, it really does you know, slow down, like reduce her effectiveness in that sense. So when we look at these skills, that's the main reason that a lot of people are not too happy about it. But what we're going to do is we'll go through all the skills and just talk about it quickly. So this ultimate, it used to be Estrelda uses her lance to send an enemy flying. Everyone knows it. You knock them up. She jumps off the horse. She does some attacks, and then she's going to increase her attacks, the attack speed and attack ratings for a period of time of all of her sides attack speed. So what it's changed to is now she's going to deal AoE damage 5 times, and then a final attack, which is going to cause your enemies to be knocked to the ground. Now the thing about this is the knock to the ground part of it is very short when you test it. We'll have to wait and see when it comes to global server and we can test it a bit more, but it appears to be a very short knockdown, so it's not as, you don't get as much value out of that knockdown as you do from the knock up that it used to have. Like, anyone knows, like when she used to knock them up, you're up there forever when she's attacking you. So that's the big difference there. However, it is, so what I think Estrelda is going to be more annoying to fight against in campaign and stuff like that, but she's going to be worse to use for most people who built her for the purpose of using her with the Gwyneth, which is the sort of unlock that came with Gwyneth that a lot of people have been using her with. So because when you look at that, 60% AoE 5 times, that's 300%, and you got an extra one at 150. There's a 450% AoE multiplier, which isn't too bad. Now when we look at level 2, raises all allies attack ratings by 7%. This is basically what her signature item used to be. If we look at this, you can see it's going to increase those stats. But however, the thing about it is, like it can, like, okay, let's just open this. See, this was 5 and 10 stacked up to 3 times. Then it went to 7.5 to 15, and then it goes to 10 to 20. Now you lose the effect, the extra stats that used to give, and then also all of her allies will gain 60 energy when it used to be 80. So it's sort of like a weakened version of her old signature item that gets put into her ultimate ability, which is also for all those people who went and invested heavily into Estrelda, got her to level 30 because of how good this was. They've basically lost that and lost the effectiveness of what they were getting. So that's another thing that is going to be a bit annoying to people. The next one we're going to look at is the charge. It stays pretty similar. She charges through the ranks, all that stuff. The big change here is that it used to damage increased by up to 250%, and received damage is reduced by 30% for a period of time. Now she gains a shield that mitigates 70%, but because it's for every enemy she hits, she's normally going to hit 3, which means she's normally going to end up with about a 210% shield. So it's whether you preferred the straight up damage mitigation or the shield. I think I kind of like the shield more. I haven't done the maths to work it out, but you know, it stays pretty much the same. Except, yeah, it's a shield instead of a damage reduction is the main takeaway from that one. Also, the damage is a little bit less. This one is 240. This one's 220. So that's that. And then finally, this one here has actually stayed the same. So that's pretty much it. So the big takeaways there are that okay, and let's look at the new signature item. So this one, when Ashura is on the front line and still alive, all damage received by her backline allies is reduced by 5%. I don't think this is a horrible one, and as you can see, when you max it out, when any allied hero is on the front line and still alive, all damage is reduced to the backline allies. So as long as she's on the battlefield, you can put her in the back row once it's at 30 and you can still get that damage reduction. I don't know. We'll have to see. Like, obviously I don't have her built on any accounts. It's really going to come down to the people who have recently built her and been using her to see whether they think it's a nerf or a buff. Like I said, it seems like in campaign when you fight against her, it's going to be harder to fight against her because she's got all that extra cleave and stuff. But yeah, she loses that knockback, which is the real key to what she was doing here with the becoming a knockdown instead of knockback is kind of huge. But yeah, main takeaways. Ultimate, now it's an AoE ultimate instead of single target, but it does a little knockdown instead of the big knock up that she used to do. The charge, you get a shield instead of damage mitigation, and then this one here, obviously you get a knockdown instead of a knockback, and then you gain the extra effects of this signature item, reducing damage taken by your allies in the back row. Let's just have a quick look at this one here, the new animations of it. But as you can see, we'll wait for her ultimate. See if she can cleave someone. We'll hold out on it, actually. We'll see if we can stack two of them together. Yeah, it's not going to stack two of them. This was never going to work. Here we go. Now we should get two. Okay, let's use it. Oh, they weren't close enough. But as you can see, that knockdown effect was very, very short. So let's let her use it on someone that's not going to die straight away. So now we'll use it. And see, that knockdown was really, really brief. It does look like they're dazed for a little bit, so it'll come down to more testing, but that is a very, very short knockdown. Anyway, that is Estrelda. We'll be back in a sec with Leica. Okay, so Leica character model looking real clean now. It's just so crisp. The difference in blurriness, you guys probably can't see it as well because I put a sharpness filter to sort of get rid of a bit of blur by about 2% on my videos. So, but you guys know how blurry some of these models are, and now they look absolutely crisp. So it looks like the ultimate has also changed how it gets like the extra bows that shoot as well, whereas this one doesn't have it. That's just a slight little thing that looks like it's changed, the magical bows that shoot. Anyway, getting sidetracked. So things that haven't changed. Ultimate ability is more or less unchanged, just because it basically no longer stacks the fragility, because fragility no longer stacks. Besides that, the ultimate is still the same. This ability here, the hastening ability, or is still the same, except now I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed. It's just identified what the buff was and how long it's for. So it's haste by 35 points for 8 seconds, whereas before it just said attack speed for a period of time. So now it gives you more specifics on it. The signature item also has gone unchanged. So now they've swapped the position of these two abilities, the rapid arrows and foes fragility, and change them up a bit. So let's look at rapid arrows first. Basically, Leica shoots 3 arrows in quick succession, each one dealing 120% damage to the enemy target. Now this, before it just says 3 arrows, so we don't know the actual multiplier of that. Now you've got a skill up which increases the damage. I don't know whether the old one was originally 120% and now you get extra, or whether the original one was 130% and they're just bringing that up to normal. But then you also do get the conversion of health, so there might be a slight difference in the damage compared to the what it used to be, but besides that, it's pretty much the same. Now let's look at the foe's fragility. So this is the big change that happened to Leica, and this is what everyone's talking about at the moment, and this is where we'll have to see. Once again, it's hard to tell until you get into some real testing. I think in some situations it'll be a buff, in some situations it'll be a nerf. It's sort of, I'm really on the fence with this one, so we'll have to see. But basically this one, what happens is, used to be a passive ability that she basically stack a defense decrease on the enemy. And the thing about this is that her rapid arrows used to stack it as well. So when she's fire 3 in quick succession, that would give you 3, 6, 9 straight away, stacking really quickly. And at max skill, that's 4. So it'd be 4, 8, 12, boom, like that, plus an auto attack in there, would take you up to 16 really, really quick. And obviously with the old way it used to be, you'd get 10 stacks of 4%, so you'd get a 40% decrease on that. And then also, I don't know where it says, yeah, enemies will be stunned when max stacks reached. You no longer get that stun either. So it used to be a max of 40% defense decrease with a stun once you ramped it up. But once again, it takes some time to ramp up. Now, when an enemy receives damage from Leica, Leica's attacks or abilities, for the following 5 seconds, their defense rating will be decreased by 15%, and chances of them being being dealt a critical strike is increased by 12%. It cannot be stacked, but it skills up to 25%. So basically, the other thing is, apparently it used to be 8 seconds. I could never figure out how long the stacks lasted. Apparently it used to be 8 seconds per stack. Now it's 5 seconds, and it's instant. So if you have a weak, if you're using like an elite Leica in later stages, it's gonna be a bit harmful because you're only getting 5 seconds out of it, and you've kind of need her to hang around to keep that debuff on, whereas you used to have a few extra seconds when you didn't. So you'd bring her in there, get that haste buff, you'd quickly do the rapid arrows, you'd get them down to a about a 16 to 20% defense decrease before she died. But now it's looking like it's nice for those quick fights where you can just run in, go shoot, instant defense decrease of 25%. The crit one isn't too big of a deal because you can just keep retrying a stage for crits. Like crit strike is nice for reliability, but not essential. So this is where I say in some situation it's going to be nice, in some it's going to be bad. Like longer fights, it's not as good. If you've got a weak Leica and she's not ascended and she dies really quickly, it's probably not going to be as good either. But I don't know. I'm really on the fence for this one. We'll just sort of have to wait and see how it actually plays out. There you go. You can see the rapid arrows. The one thing about this is, I don't know if with that animation of, I really do like the new animation. However, with this new animation, I'm pretty sure it acts the same where it just hits everyone, because it is hitting everyone there. But because that ability does say, if we go back here, this is the other reason I think it'll be not too bad. Because the foe's fragility does say just if they're hit by one of her attacks or abilities, and we can see that when we use it, it's going to give that defense decrease as an AoE. So if I put this down to, we'll speed it up again. Let her build up her energy bar. Let's get a few more in there. So now if we go like this, you're going to see that we're going to put the defense decrease, which is now really, really noticeable with that symbol. It's going to put it on all the enemies. So I think it could be nice if she gets to go to use her ultimate, then you're going to get AoE, like a full AoE decrease of 25% instead of the standard of what you were getting before when you're just getting the one stack. So I don't know. I'm unsure. We'll have to wait and see. The Leica one, I'm really on the fence about. I kind of lean towards the side of preferring it a little, probably because I have Leica Ascended on 2 of my accounts, so it's like she survives a little bit anyway, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I've gone on for way too long. But yeah, that's Leica, that's Estrelda. Estrelda seems like a nerf. I'm waiting to hear from people who've actually just recently built her and used her, because they're going to be the ones to know. I'm not going to really know, whereas Leica, it's sort of good in some situations, not so good in others. Overall, I personally, if I had to go with whether I think it's a buff or a nerf, I think I'd lean towards the side of buff. But let me know what you guys think. So I realized I was rambling on a lot, so I'm just cutting myself off right there. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.